See if you can publish in Squawk again. Squawk magazine is sold out, I'm afraid. Number 42. That's a magazine in the Naked City Coffee House. We'll have another one next week.
What kind of one?
And it's got some Lee Kid and Travis Pickett poetry.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 copies up in the pile of ones, but they're closer tonight. This is a story. He didn't cover it. This is a story that's going to the next issue of Squawk. It's called, let's see, Driving Through Hell with the Meter Running. Life in Buffalo was fine, indeed, back in 1982. I was manager of a title search company with 2 women lawyers working for me. I was going to marry a girl next door. It was a successful existence in this provincial industrial town. But the company closed shop and laid me off. In this session, jobs are hard to come by. When my money ran out, I didn't eat for weeks. The only thing holding me together was my girlfriend. I thought I could count on her, but she ran off with a married guy. Out on the street, I was going, looking for jobs. The time to go over until something better came along. The only job I could find was driving taxi cabs at night in downtown Buffalo. My first fare did nothing to ease my entry into the subterranean life. An old lady was complaining I was driving too fast and wanted me to let her out of the cab by going 50 miles an hour on an expressway. It seemed to me that obliging her would mean I'd never get a tip. Occasionally, businessmen and middle-class people would drive cabs at night, but mostly it was psychos, hookers, drunks, and dangerous people. Movie Taxi Driver is about such a person who was driving cabs, how the paranoia and loathing of the specimens of the human race got to him. If a person has no perspective in life and really thinks that the world is like these passengers in a taxi cab, he's in big trouble. I got a call to a bar, out staggered a drunk biker. He's dressed in leather, about 6'8", who immediately jumped in the front seat. Drunks always insisted on sitting in the drunk seat of the cab. I don't know why, but they do. He showed me his knuckles. They were covered with blood. He'd been thrown out of the bar for starting a fight. The bartender figured it would be convenient to pass this problem on to some poor unsuspecting cab driver like me. Well, I had a degree in sociology. I figured this would be the best situation, make the best of the situation, and use this job as a lesson in studying society up close. Maybe this job was a blessing in disguise, I thought. This time the guy insisted that the meter was running fast, and we were ripping him off. He grabbed hold of the meter and tried to rip it out of the dashboard. I thought, my God, if he tears the meter out, what's he going to do to my head next? Looking at this maniac, I realized there was no way to physically restrain this Bigfoot in leather. So I started making jokes about how the government, the cab company, and everyone else is ripping off everyone in the world, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Go get him!
And he laughed at it. Talking about drums. And he actually gave me $7 and gave me a tip. I got a call to the downtown street corner, and 8 women jumped in my cab at once. They were hookers, and the cops would run them off the street. They had me driving to the next neighborhood a few blocks away, continue to work. When I got out, I noticed the guy, who may have been a pimp, throw a brick through the window of another guy sitting in a new Cadillac. Another hooker jumped in my cab like flying. He was a gap-toothed, goofy-looking guy, probably just got paid. He was trying to kiss her, and she said, "There'll be no fun until exchange of legal tender." He asked her if she would take a credit card. She said no, but for $30 I'll give you a revolving charge. I dropped them off in a dingy west side apartment. They told me to come back in 45 minutes. Next customer was a young guy who immediately sounded off about how great Jewish writers were. They were so sensitive and perceptive to the many sides of life. He insisted that they were the most brilliant authors in America, and talked on and on how great they were. Next ride is an old lady who complained about how her doctor wasn't properly healing her foot ailments. She went to graphic descriptions about her fungal infections, skin irritations, and corns. When she asked me how much the fare was, I said, it's $2 for the ride and $1 for consultation fee. Occasionally I get lucky and get long rides. One guy wanted to go 100 miles to Erie, Pennsylvania. When I got back, I was told to go to the new Hilton. The woman got in the back of my cab, my eyes almost popped out. Immediately I remembered that Harry Chapin song, Taxi. It was Donna, an old girlfriend from years ago. She had gone into politics, and I had gone down a different road. She used to screech at me a lot. It was completely hysterical. And she hadn't changed. Several 8 weeks of this job, you could instinctively size a person up the moment they got in the cab, before they even spoke. I could tell if they were drunk, dangerous, crazy, or cheap. You could tell if they're good tippers or the kind of person who would demand a nickel back on a $6.95 fare.
You haven't changed a bit.
Not one bit. One person I picked up struck me as unusual. He was tall, wore a corduroy jacket. Was he a drug dealer, a businessman, a professor? I couldn't tell. There was something about him that said this is not an ordinary person.
Shame.
He had me stop at a pharmacy where he picked up a bag full of drugs. He said he had just recovered from being paralyzed for a year with a nerve disorder. We were driving along, and he asked me how I was doing, and I told him, I just got a rejection notice in the mail. He told me he was a writer, but he never got a rejection notice in his life. I asked him if any books published. He indicated his first novel was picked up by publishers right away. It was called Catch-22. Suddenly I remembered reading an article by Joseph Heller about his long illness with a nerve disease. I remember the guy who had got in my cab earlier raving about drugging Jewish authors. Some kind of omen. I asked him what he was doing in a God-forsaken place like Buffalo. Evidently he was coming to meet a friend who owned the Circle Arts Cinema. He had promised to take him to dinner if he was ever nominated for the Pulitzer Prize, which he was that year. I told him what a great life must be to be a successful author. He said it was terrible. Being a celebrity, insulated from experiencing the real world. He said I was lucky driving cabs, all these stories at my fingertips. He said he'd do anything to change places with me. Making $80 a week picking up psychos, hookers, drunks, and dangerous people wasn't quite as romantic for me, so I offered him the keys. Things got worse as the weeks went on. Sailor jumped in my cab and threatened to kill me if I took him on a long ride to a short destination. 3 fellow cab drivers were robbed at gunpoint in 1 week. The job in Rochester opened up, and I wasted no time in leaving my taxi career behind. Time to get out the midnight streets of Buffalo.